Hi there, this is David Ingleby for Dingo servo mounts, and this is an assembly video for the crossing gate, the new crossing gate mount. This is the packet that would come in, all the bits and pieces are there, and I've now taken them all out and put them on the table, or actually on the tray, so that I can show you how to put it together. The first thing we need to do is to take this frame here, and it needs to be bent on those two lines there. And you know how I bend things with a wooden block. I'm not going to bend this particular one because I've already bent one. Here's one I did earlier. There it is, bent into a U shape. Nice 90-degree bends there, and that is the mount that we start with. Then we need to take this unit. This is the one with the big hole in, and that's going to fit right into that top hole there, and it will screw up with the two screws. Now this is a little bit fitty, and you need the two very short screws. Like I said, a little bit fiddly. What I find is the best way is to put the screws into the bracket first. There we go. Put the screws into the bracket, and then very carefully slide the whole unit into that big hole there, and then very carefully with the screwdriver run the two screws into the holes. Now the important thing about this setup is that when you're finished, this top face needs to be totally flush. Now if you've used the wrong screws, in other words, whoops, that one's on properly. Let's do that better. So if you've used the wrong screw, as I've done here, then that screw is too long, it sticks out, so you know you've taken the wrong screw. So we'll whip that one out, and we'll put the right one in there, which is the little shorty ones. Here we go. So when it's done, that is all perfectly smooth on the top. Now this tube, the larger tube, is the tube that forms that sleeve for this whole thing to turn into. So that goes into there quite nicely, and if you drill a 5mm hole into your baseboard, then that would go right up through the baseboard to the right height, level of the top of your baseboard. So you would cut that then to that particular length. That takes care of that. Now the next thing to do is to prepare the servo horn. Now you need to take one of the, I've done this one a little bit beforehand, but this is the servo horn that I'm talking about, and you cut it off so it leaves 3 holes on either side. Once you've done that, you can drill out the middle holes there and there to 1.8mm, which is what I've done there. So that hole and that hole has been drilled out to 1.8mm. Now you take the next size up screw, which is the M2x4s, and from the back, so that's the piece that goes to the servo, you put these screws through. Whoops, not good. Putting them on the floor. Put the screws through those holes, and they will tap quite happily into a 1.8 pardon me, 1.8mm hole. And that's the other one. There we go. So that's the drive mechanism, the first part of the drive mechanism, all ready to go. Now we take our servo, and using trusty old servo tester, which you can get on our website, we move the servo to the center position, and with the servo tester, by just pushing that button, that takes it right into the middle. And then we take this horn and we place it exactly on there, straight across that way, and very carefully with this little black screw, which, as I've often said, have a mind of their own. Screw that into there, and that's it. We can now remove the servo tester. We don't need that at the moment. We now have the servo motor out like that. The next piece we need is the dog, which is that piece there. Now that just drops on to that unit, and then very carefully, I'm just going to back off the zoom a little bit. That now will come exactly underneath the hole there, so that way around. If you fold it this way, clip that carefully through there and push it all the way up. It's now trapped in there, so it won't fall out, and you can put the last two long screws in there. It's always tricky doing this behind the camera, I've always said that. There we go, that's one in there, and one in this side. Often easy to put the screw on the top of the screwdriver and then enter it in. Oops, except when you drop it off. So I always work on the tray, so if you drop things, they don't have too far to fall. Okay, so we zip that one up there like that, and up this one up, and that's in, and that essentially is your whole unit done. Then the narrower tube will then go through the middle of that, and it will locate into the dog, and that's the piece that'll turn. And you can then just hook up your servo tester again, and make sure that everything works nicely. And then it's entirely up to you how you connect your gate. As I said, I 3D printed this particular gate and then just glued it onto the pole that goes in there, and that clips down into the dog, and then it will all turn with the unit as it goes. Alternatively, you could change that for a piece of 1/8 brass tubing, or you could glue a wire into there and use that to then swing your gates, and then that can go into there. Particularly if you're using something that's like pre-built, like something like this, where it's going to be slightly different, where you can't really bring the pin up right in front there. So what I would do with these is I would drill a hole next to that and then put a wire into this tube itself and attach that wire to the gate, and then that would swing the gate. So there's lots of ways, and I know you guys are very clever modelers. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it all out. So essentially that's all there is to it. Just put it all back together again, get the dog to line up. Here we go, and that is our new crossing gate mount. I hope you'll enjoy that, and I hope it'll make some extra ease for your modelling. So yeah, thank you for watching.